I'll ride in anything as long as my horse is comfortable. Have you ever thought that to yourself or maybe said it out loud to somebody? A lot of us riders tend to prioritize our horse's comfort over our own. And that comes from a really great place of caring deeply about our horse's well-being and wanting to do right by them. But unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. Aside from the fact that a saddle that is ill-fitting for you as the rider can have serious physical consequences for you down the line, even a saddle that fits your horse perfectly will cause them discomfort if you're not comfortable in the saddle yourself as the rider. My name is Julia Allebrand, and I'm a certified saddle ergonomist at Saddlefit for Life. If you're not familiar with Saddlefit for Life, we've been offering evidence-based saddlefit education for the past 35 years. We work with horse owners, equine professionals, and veterinarians to help them better understand their horse's anatomy and biomechanics in the context of saddle fit, to allow them to become better advocates for their horses and offer proactive care when it comes to saddle fitting. One of the most common position issues that riders struggle with is the chair seat. Have you struggled with this in the past? I have too, all of the time. And you might just discover today that it's not your fault that you keep finding yourself in this position, but that you might actually be fighting your equipment instead. Another common complaint is discomfort, either during riding or immediately after riding. A lot of riders struggle with lower back pain. Hip and knee pain is incredibly common as well, recurring bladder infections, maybe even slipped discs. But riding shouldn't hurt. And if riding is currently hurting you, it's because you're not balanced in the saddle. What does it mean to be balanced in the saddle? Balance is the ability of the rider to move with the motion of the horse, to maintain a position that is effortless and allows you to move with the fluid motion of your horse's body. Balance is also the absence of discomfort and tension, both of which leads to stiffness, which leads to a heavy seat and back pain for you and for your horse. In order for you to sit in a balanced position, you need to be able to maintain your shoulder, hip, and heel alignment. And it doesn't matter how long or short your stirrups are or what discipline you ride, your legs should always be underneath you. So if I were to take your horse out from under you, you would land on your feet, not on your bottom. That is a position that allows you to ride in good balance. Next, we need to talk about sex, because your biological sex plays a huge role in saddle fit as well. More specifically, we need to be talking about sexual dimorphism of the pelvis, the size, shape, and structural difference between the male and female pelvis. I will blend in two pelvises on the side here. Do you believe that the top or the bottom pelvis is the female rider? I'll give you a moment to take a look. If you think that the top pelvis is a female pelvis, you are correct. The female pelvis is biologically designed for childbirth. So the female pelvis is larger in size. The seat bones are further apart to allow for space of the birthing channel. The female pelvis also has a shorter tailbone and a lower pubic symphysis, and the angle of her hip joints are different than a male's. You can also see that with the spine in a neutral position, the pubic bone is much lower in a female pelvis than it is in a male pelvis. All of these differences between the male and the female pelvis play a huge role in the way that your saddle seat needs to be designed to allow you to sit comfortably in the saddle. So why are so many female riders struggling with position issues and recurring discomfort either during or after riding? Well, traditionally, saddles were made by men for men. But that demographic has shifted dramatically today, with most of the riders across all disciplines being female nowadays. But unfortunately, manufacturing hasn't caught up in many places and are still making a lot of saddles that are built with male anatomy in mind, which is contributing to a lot of those position issues that we see day in and day out and contributing to the great level of discomfort that a lot of female riders are finding themselves in. Let's take a look at the different parts of the saddle and their anatomical requirements for the male and female rider so you can make an informed decision about the saddle that you're riding in. So the parts of the seat that are relevant for anatomical correct saddle fit, here on a Western saddle, I'll go through them again on an English saddle in a moment, are starting with the waist. The waist is the front part here. Female riders like to have a wider waist. The reason for that is that, like we said, with a spine in a neutral position, the female pelvis has 3 points of contact, the seat bones and the pubic bone. So a wider waist area here allows for that pubic bone to find comfort in the seat. Saddles that were manufactured for the male pelvis, they have a more narrow waist. That allows for the male body parts to go one way or another. But us ladies, we don't like to sit on a rooftop, so we enjoy a wider waist here. Next, we'll go to the twist area. This is a very popular and often talked about area on the saddle. Female riders enjoy a more narrow twist. The reason for that is that we tend to carry our weight on the inside and outside of our thigh, whereas male riders tend to carry their weight on the front and back of their thigh. The result of that is that often when a female rider rides in a twist that is too wide, she's going to feel pulled apart between her legs. She's going to feel pressure between her upper inner thigh, which is going to put stress on her hips and on her lower back, effectively turning out her knees and turning out her toes. So typically, female riders enjoy a narrow twist. Seat width. Because the female pelvis is wider to allow for the space of the birthing channel, the seat bones are further apart. Female riders enjoy a wider seat width. Okay? Because females also have a shorter seat bone than males do, again, to allow for that birthing channel, female riders tend to enjoy more seat foam support. So they like to have a little bit more support right up here, kind of on the upper part of their gluteal muscles. When it comes to seat foaming, a lot of it is also up to personal preference. So of course there are some variation even within the female species and the female riders. There are some personal preferences, but the key anatomical features that make a saddle either male or female and appropriate for a male or a female body will always remain the same. Then within each category for each sex, we need to have a variety of different models to cater to the individual personal preferences. Another key difference between the male and female anatomy is the length of the upper and lower leg. Females tend to have a longer upper than lower leg on average, whereas males tend to have a more even upper to lower leg ratio, or sometimes even their lower leg is a little bit longer. This comes into play with the stirrup bar. Most female riders require an extended stirrup bar. Wherever the stirrup bar is mounted is where the stirrup or the fender is going to hang. So it sort of acts like a pendulum, right? So if you have a stirrup bar that is quite far forward, made for a male rider, then if you're a female rider with a longer upper leg, you're going to struggle to keep your lower leg underneath you, and you're going to fall back into that chair seat position. On this particular saddle, the stirrup bar is actually adjustable. So there are 3 different settings that the rider can choose from. Currently, it's set on the furthest forward setting. This would be appropriate for a male rider. For the female rider, a good setting would be either the center setting, or if she has a very long femur compared to the lower body, then we might even choose the rear setting. So that's going to allow for the female rider to put herself in that shoulder, hip, and heel alignment that we know is crucial to maintain balance and to stay supple in the saddle and have a pliable seat to achieve that position. Now going through the parts of the saddle again that are relevant to Saddlefit to Rider. This is a female saddle, so it is made for the female rider. Again, it has a wider waist area, again for that pubic bone to find comfort. A more narrow twist, so the area between the upper inner thigh is nice and narrow to allow for the thigh to hang naturally. A wider seat width and additional seat foam support at the rear. And this particular saddle also has an extended stirrup bar, again allowing for that on average longer femur of the female rider in comparison to the tibia length to sit nice and comfortably and prevent her from falling into a chair seat. Again, a lot of female riders struggle with hip, knee, and lower back pain. Most of the time that comes from feeling strained between our upper inner thigh. We're going to take a look at a female rider in a seat designed for a male and then in a seat designed for a female, so we can demonstrate the differences that anatomical design makes for the rider. Here we have a female rider sitting in a saddle seat that was designed for the male pelvis. And you can see right away that she's not in a good shoulder, hip, and heel alignment. Her leg is out in front of her, and she is in a chair seat position currently. We can also see that her knee and her toe are pointed outward, which indicates to me that the twist area might be too wide for her, which again can contribute to discomfort in the knee either during or after riding, hip pain, and potentially some lower back pain as well. We're also seeing that she's sitting quite far back in the seat. She's almost right up against the cantle. That could indicate that she's looking for support for that shorter tailbone. So she's pushing herself all the way back in the saddle to find support, which is exacerbating that chair seat position. It could also indicate that perhaps she's feeling some discomfort in her crotch area and she's tilting her pelvis in an effort to escape that discomfort. So possibly the waist, the twist, and the seat foam support are inadequate for her. And most certainly the stirrup bar position, or in this case, the fender bar position, is too far forward for her and is not allowing her to sit in good alignment. So let's take a look at the same rider in a saddle now designed for a female pelvis. This saddle comes with an adjustable ground seat system. So I'm just quickly switching out the ground seat from the male ground seat to the female ground seat. And I'm also changing the position of the fender to accommodate the female anatomy better. An immediate difference now in the saddle seat for the female pelvis. You can see that her alignment is much better. She has her shoulders, hips, and heel in alignment. Admittedly, the fender is a little bit long for her, so if we were to shorten that fender a little bit, she would likely be able to drop her heel, but that's looking much better. The knee and the toe are also pointed more forward, which is very nice to see. She does have a little bit of saddle behind her, so she's sitting further forward and more in the seat, and that indicates that she has sufficient support now behind her seat bones here and behind her tailbone, and that she's not uncomfortable in her pelvis either. So much more of a neutral position, allowing the spine to be nice and upright, protecting the lower back, and riding like this, as long as we shorten that fender a little bit, should not cause her any discomfort. Thank you for tuning in to the Saddlefit to Rider video. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Make sure to rate and leave a comment below with any questions that you might have. For more free educational content, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok. If you're interested in diving into more evidence-based saddle fit education beyond the free content that we have publicly, you might want to discover what the Saddlefit for Life Academy has to offer. You could book a call with one of our instructors to find out more about our programs. I can't wait to see you in the next video, or maybe even welcome you to the Saddlefit for Life Academy permanently.